My name is Emily Leggiero. I am a junior and I will be graduating in the spring of 2023. And my major is environmental science. The concentration is biology. And my minors are philosophical, bioethics, philosophy, planning geography, and I have a certificate in geospatial informations technology. I originally, when I went to Kutztown, I was a marine biology major, and I have since moved to environmental science. But the main reason why I chose Kutztown was for that program, but also since of the location. I'm from the Scranton area, so it's a good distance away from my house, but not too far. I also chose Kutztown for because of the Board of Governors Scholars Program. So it was a scholarship community that reached out and said that if you were a part of this scholarship, you had the option to opt into an on-campus community. So it was for first years, so you were able to see other people in that program also. They all resided mainly in like the same dorm. So I took part in that because I thought that was a really interesting first year like living community that I thought I would be able to like acclimate to the differences in lifestyle from high school to college. So my research, I actually presented at the American Association of Geographers last weekend. So it was a research project that I've been working on for about a semester and a half, and it was about creating a suitability model in order to find agricultural lands that are best suited for the cash crops that we grow in this state. So I was able to compare and contrast where current farm easements are and where areas that if we were to further conserve agricultural lands, where they would be best suited. Yeah, so it was a research conference. It was originally supposed to be in New York City, but it went virtual because of COVID. But the university has the Kutztown University Research Fund, which I applied to, which would have helped with expenses in order to get to that conference. But I still have used that because there's still admissions fees for the conference, but it was a little different since it was all virtual. So this was my first conference that I have been to. So instead of, I don't really have anything to base it off of. So what happened was you would get session times and you would get links, Zoom links to different breakout rooms, so you can check in and see different people presenting their projects. So I got my own little Zoom breakout room, and I was able to present to anyone who came to my breakout room, and I was able to go and see other people present theirs, which it's kind of cool because since my discipline is primarily biology, it was cool to see the different perspectives people for geography have and how they interpret and present things like their research. So it was really fun. So I did a summer program through the geology department called RIGS, and RIGS stands for Roadmaps into the Geosciences. And it was like an NSF grant funded like program to send students to Missouri S&T and to talk about the different opportunities that the geosciences have. And a lot of my friends are in the geology program, so they ushered me to go with them just to keep like an open mind to see, oh, like environmental is very broad, and for geosciences that also includes like things like environmental remediation and stuff. So I went along with that, and their main message was about research on how to like go through the research process, and that kind of inspired me into trying to do something on my own. There's a lot of times where for students ask a teacher or a professor to like, what are you working on and do you need help? They kind of get involved that way. But I kind of had an idea of my own, and I was able to kind of start from what I wanted to do and see like where it went, which was really cool. And I was able to do that as an independent research project. So instead of me working under the professors, I had the professors kind of independently guide what I was doing, which I thought was a really unique experience because I was able to kind of take on a little more than of like the research and kind of like make it my own. So I was trying to like join the departments together and like, oh, I knew this professor is really good at climate modeling, like that's what he got his doctorate in. I know the other professor in this department is really good at knowing how to use like the programming system. So I'd try to like, it's like a group project, but like I'm kind of like the center of it, and I was able to like see all the moving parts of it. So I thought that was really cool. That was kind of more of something that I was just inspired kind of to do. So I wanted, for the environmental science program, there's different tracks. There's 4 and now 5 tracks. So I'm in biology, but we also have geology, geography, chemistry, and now a regenerative agriculture one. So a lot of the times we kind of get pulled into our own concentrations, and the program itself kind of loses cohesiveness. So I wanted to put like a program together in order to help guide underclassmen. So what I talked about were recent like upcoming programs that the students could get involved in over the summer. I talked about the databases that we have through the library. Talked about, I got students from each, like a representative. Yeah, representative from each track. So that way, in case there was any like track specific questions that I couldn't answer because I wouldn't be in that track, they would be able to answer any questions the student had. Kind of envisioned what I do now in a way. Like I always knew I wanted to do research because that was always something of interest outside of classes. So even though it's not in the same discipline in the like same way, I'm still kind of reaching my goals in another way. But I always wanted to do research, and I always wanted to like really feel that I was like immersed into a program, and I definitely feel that way at Kutztown in my program. I feel like each department, since I really don't stay in biology, like I am a biology like concentration, but I like to help out in the chemistry department. I like to do my research was between the geology and geography program, so I like to be a little bit everywhere, and I like that I feel like that discipline is my home discipline just because of how like great the program is. I switched not because like I love the department, and the department's really good and has received a lot of recognition for having such a strong program, but for marine biology I found that instead of like my preferences and of interest were about more of like the bigger things of like how this process works because of something that's greater than it. So I thought that was more along the lines of environmental science, where I didn't feel so kind of restricted to only marine environments. I chose biology because it has all of those ecology courses, but I found myself really liking the GIS in the geography. So I'm taking that route by adding the certificate and minor to try to take more classes. But I'm able to do that because the environmental science, the new program allows for more free electives. So they kind of want you to add a minor. That's kind of like what they're pushing for. So I'm able to kind of fit that in the timeline I have to not only like get my degree, but also kind of like see how many more minors and certificates I can tack on.
Right.
That's definitely something that as a junior now that I'm thinking of, especially when it comes to internships and kind of seeing how I network now will lead to my future career. But my plans for that honestly were probably to take a few years, just to feel like get a feel of like the industry and how to I just want to be in the field. I've been doing schooling straight through, kind of want to see and get out there and just have like a few years where I'm able to have and hold a job where I'm able to do the field work. So that way, when I have higher up jobs, maybe more in like data analyzing or just management in general, I'm able to know what I do, like what the field technicians are doing. I'm open to the idea of like further schooling to probably get like a master's is probably as far as I would go. I don't think I would get a PhD, but if the opportunity presented itself, I would consider it. I would definitely say more like a message of not to always feel kind of like you're stuck. And I was just talking to a professor about this, about like the sunken ship fallacy, where like your ship is sinking and you're like, oh, it's already sinking. So what am I going to do about it? And you just kind of like, instead of thinking of ways how you can like either scoop the water out of the ship so you're not sinking or plug the hole, you're just kind of like accepting defeat. Like, oh, I've already invested all this time and energy into something. I should probably just see it through. That's kind of how I felt with before I changed my major. Like, oh, and I was a freshman at the time. I switched like my freshman year. So, which at the time it was very scary because, oh, I'm gonna like waste all these classes. I'm gonna have to like graduate later and it's just gonna be a really big setback. But it's something and it's a decision that I'm glad I made because now I'm on a track that I really think suits me and I get to take classes that I really enjoy. So I would definitely want to harbor a message of don't just continue doing something just because you feel the need and because you've invested so much time or effort into something, to kind of listen to yourself, because in the grand scheme of things, you're going to be enjoying life much more if you choose to do something along the path that you really want to take, other than kind of just doing something because you're like obligated to do something.